This is the Unspoken Podcast on the Undetermined Podcast Network.
You are listening to the Unspoken Podcast, a cheap seat sports production, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. It's episode number 23. I'm Tom Albano. Along with me always is Nick Federa. Nick, same old show, same network, and a new production, you can say.
Yes, indeed. You are not going deaf. Things did change a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Why don't you fill them in, Tom?
Okay, so I have been in the sports blogging game before. In fact, MLB.com's blog sites in the past has promoted some of my stuff. However, I had taken a little break because of school and entering grad school and stuff. But I'm back in the game, and I now have a new website via WordPress called Cheap Seat Sports. And basically, it's like my own blog. But I'm going to try to get, some other people involved with it.
I will be writing for it. So will a couple other people, hopefully.
Hopefully. If worst comes to worst, if they don't want to write, I might be talking to a couple of other people sometimes, as like, I don't know, video, segments, stuff like this where, not 1 hour long talks, but, brief things like you would see on ESPN where it's like we now have an insider or something to explain stuff.
So we're our own correspondents.
We are our own correspondents, yes.
We're moving up in the world, folks.
I feel like my website is on the same level as this.
Yeah, but we still love what we do, so you can't really discount that.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, I already have quite a few followers on Facebook. Thank you to all the friends and family who are jumping on ship. I didn't expect as many people to jump on as it did.
Yeah, apparently we have a following. I don't know how big it is or how small it is, but hey, it's a following. It works.
It is a following. It does work. And, my website already has a couple of followers. On Twitter, I got a like on an article I wrote. It's from pro hockey player in Spain.
Wow.
I guess I'm going to be covering international hockey now.
I guess. Well, most of the NHL is international players anyway, so you're really not changing anything.
Speaking of the NHL, we've got our first topic of today, and that is the Stanley Cup.
Yes, indeed, the Penguins have repeated as Stanley Cup champions. They've done it again, folks.
Of course they did. Special fact, this is actually the first time that an NHL team has repeated as Stanley Cup champion since, I believe, the late 90s.
Really? I would have thought the Blackhawks did it more than once.
No. It was the Red Wings of 97, 98, I think, because you mentioned, what was it, the Blackhawks?
Yeah.
The Blackhawks did it 2010, 2013, 2015.
Oh, so it was kind of, yeah, I get it.
It was close, but no cigar. Because before 2010, they hadn't won in 40, 50 years?
Yeah, granted, that cigar is a mighty fine smokable, but it's not exactly repeating though. But there's repeating, there's going back to back, make it sweeter, I think.
It's going back, repeating as champion, does it make winning better? I guess maybe on certain levels, but not on all levels. I feel like, winning, with a curse on you. Like when the Red Sox broke their curse, or when the Blackhawks broke their curse, or when the Cubs broke their curse. I think that's the ultimate big win.
Yeah, and when the Yankees won in 96,
that's
the first time they'd ever done it since 1978, and that was something special for a lot of Yankee fans in my family included.
Absolutely, I will agree.
But I must ask, how much? Because we've seen a lot of unfavorable calls, let's call it, in the series, and how much of it was the puck somehow finding the net against all odds, and how much of it was luck, and how much of it was the Penguins really were that good?
I mean, I can't discredit the Penguins. I mean, there were games where, let's face it, there were games in the Stanley Cup that were absolute thrashings on both ends. I'm trying to get the score up, all the scores up on the NHL of the Stanley Cup right now. One example of a Stanley Cup thrashing: Pittsburgh defeating Nashville 4-1 in Game 2. You have Nashville defeating Pittsburgh 5-1 in Game 3. So there were some games that weren't close. Pittsburgh destroying Nashville 6-0. I think the big thing was Game 6, because when the referee lost sight of the puck, that was the most unfortunate thing.
It was.
For the Predators. And then the score with like a minute left in the third. As I wrote on Twitter and Facebook, my heart shattered for Nashville.
It is, and you can't really say, "Oh, well, hockey's hockey," because if it had been the Rangers, we would have been screaming every single swear word in the English dictionary, and in fact, even some in foreign dictionaries as well.
Probably. Yeah, my heart broke for Nashville, although I have to give credit. They played. They, kept up with them.
They did everything they could. They turned every which way but loose, but somehow it just did not work out that way. But I don't think that Nashville should have a reason to despair, because I do believe that this team can go there again.
Absolutely. I mean, did you see the video of the young Preds fan, the young Preds girl fan?
Yeah.
That was sweet. I have to admit, that was great.
Yeah, and you can't discount these fans just because Nashville isn't really a traditional hockey market, quote unquote.
You're right.
But it's still important that fans are passionate and that they go, because the players feed off that.
Absolutely. I mean, you hear their goal song. I mean, they are the most vicious with that, like once Gold on the Ceiling kicks in, they just do all the, "Hey, you suck, we're going to beat the hell out of you." Like, that's funny to me. That's cool.
Yeah, they could give the Garden fans a run for their money.
I think they could. I mean, that goal song, I think, gives, our goal song a run for its money. Although our goal song,
mind you, we're still saying Potvin sucks 25 years.
Nick, you there? Uh-oh. We might be having some technical difficulties, everybody. Nick is... We might be having some technical issues, people. Nick, for some reason, I cannot hear. Nick might have dropped out on us. Hang on. Okay, this is something I have never quite seen. I've never had this issue before. All right. So as I was going to say, I feel like the Preds goal song gives our goal song, the Rangers goal song, a run for its money. But yeah, I personally don't think, as much as there were bad calls in this series, I don't think it had too much of an effect. I think it was more of Game 6 that was a turning point. I feel like, I don't know. I mean, on one hand, losing sight of the puck happens. It happens. You can't, you can never really predict when a referee is going to miss a sight of a puck. But on the other hand, I feel like, there could have been, like, I think it might have been too early of a whistle. They could have had a better sight of it. And then because if they, had waited a couple more seconds, there's the puck in the net. It's a good goal. And they could have reviewed that and shown that it was a good goal. And maybe Game 6 goes to overtime. And maybe the Preds win in overtime. And then maybe we have Game 7. I would have really loved to have seen a Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. I love Game 7s of the World Series. But Game 7 of the Stanley Cup is a whole other thing. When was the last time we had a Game 7 of the Stanley Cup? I want to say either 2013 or 2011. I mean, I would really like to see that one more time, to see, a Stanley Cup where it goes 7 games. To me, that's, quite amazing. And, of course, in other hockey news, a big blow to Rangers fans. I mean, you ever have a thing where you ever had this feeling where it's like something is for the benefit of the team, but it breaks your heart anyways? That's what I'm going through right now. That's what all of New York, all the Rangers Nation is going through. Nick, you there?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah.
What's the password?
Hold on, Tom. Kill the broadcast for a second.
Okay. All right. Nick will be right back. And okay, so Nick is gonna be right back. Anyways, so back to what I was saying. The New York Rangers cut Dan Girardi. It broke my heart to see it. They're all saying it's for the benefit of the team. But, I mean, there's 2 ways to look at it. On one hand, you have, let me look at Dan Girardi's stats, because it's like everyone's saying, oh, it's for the benefit of the team, but, if they're going to cut Mark Stahl, I'm not going to watch another Rangers game again. So, I mean, let's have a look at Girardi's numbers for this year. For some reason, it's not showing. Oh, because I didn't spell Girardi right. I am a dummy. All right, so 2016, 2017. Did he really only play in 4 games? Doesn't sound... Okay, there it is. I'm like, what the hell, 4 games? Oh, 4 goals, okay. 63 games played, 4 goals, and 11 assists. But that's not going to show our full... Oh, there it is. See, shots on goal, game-winning goal. Hits 56, blocks 107. 27 of them coming... 27, an additional 27 actually in the playoffs. 56 hits, 117 blocks. Oh, no. 107 hits, 166 blocks. Okay. Now, let's take a look at Mark Stahl's numbers. All right, let's see. Mark Stahl, his numbers on the regular season, 89 hits, 97 blocks. So, I mean, you're giving up a little bit of production from your defense. And, I mean, it's quite ironic, quite funny, actually, when the defense is the one that's scoring. But that's been a problem with the Rangers for a little while. Actually, we have a phone call from Nick. Let me check in. Hello, Nick.
I'm really angry right now because my parents are fucking with the internet and dropped my connection. Now I can't get back on.
You can't get back on? Oh, boy. Do you want to try again later?
Hang on.
Okay.
Let's see if I can still get back on.
Okay. All right, so Nick's going to have a little bit of difficulties with the internet. So right now you're dealing with just me, which should be something. All right. Anyways, Dan Girardi, I think you're giving up quite a bit of production, and it's ironic because, the Rangers never really had the best offense, the best shooting. Some of its best offense and shooting came from the defense, from the likes of Dan Girardi and Captain Ryan McDonough. But I think that problem adjusted itself in the 2016-2017 season. But now, I hope the Rangers know what they're doing. I mean, it's probably a contract issue of why Girardi is leaving. He probably was owed quite a bit of money. Let's see. The Rangers bought out his contract. The buyout cap hit. He originally carried a $5.5 million cap hit over the next 3 seasons, but now he will be on the books for the next 6 years at a lower annual rate. So it'll be $2.61 million in this coming season. Then for the next 2 seasons after that, 2018-19 and 2019-20, it'll be $3.61 million. 2020 to 2021 through 2022-2023, it'd be $1.11 million. So because he had a no movement clause, it meant he doesn't have to be placed on waivers. He ranks 9th on the Rangers all-time list in games played. He had 184 career assists, 230 points. And, he played his heart out, and, I'm going to miss him. And all Rangers Nation is going to miss him. You saw Lundqvist's farewell to him. You saw McDonough's farewell to him. I mean, it's a tough blow. And he was an alternate captain, so the Rangers need another alternate captain, perhaps. And, they got to have somebody on their mind to, come into the Rangers and bring a different level of defense. I mean, the same level of defense, or maybe a better level. I'm getting worried that the Rangers' time at a Stanley Cup is running out from this Rangers fan. So, hoping for the best. And, I mean, Girardi's only, 33? I think he still has a few years left in the NHL. I mean, he's been dealing with a lot of injuries. That's to be fair. He has been dealing with injuries. But I'm confident that the Rangers will, step up and get another person. And I think Girardi will find work. Maybe that Vegas Golden Knights team was going to get him, since they're going to start playing this season. By the way, I can't wait for that. I want to see what their first season will look like. Moving on now to the NBA, and we have NBA champions as well. And I don't know, can you eat half crow? Because my first prediction was wrong, but my second prediction was right. Because in the beginning, I said this series was going to go 7 games, but I needed to watch game 1 to decide, who it was going to be that was going to be the winner. And then game 1 happened, and Golden State, just destroyed Cleveland. And, after that, the following episode, the last episode actually, I said, Golden State was going to win game 4. If not, they will win game 5. And what do you know? Golden State ended up winning game 5 and winning the NBA title at home. And as we did say in the first prediction, the little preview right before the final started, we had thought Nick thought Kevin Durant, Nick and I thought Kevin Durant would be the X factor. And just so happens he was the factor. He was the main factor. He was the MVP. Kevin Durant helping Steph Curry and the Warriors to their second NBA title in 3 years. And the Golden State Warriors managed to not blow a 3-1 lead. So there you go. Let's get some numbers from that game-winning Game 5. For Golden State, the MVP, Kevin Durant, 39 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal. Steph Curry, 34 points, 10 assists, a double-double, 6 rebounds. A double-double for Green with 10 points, 12 rebounds. So, of course, their big 3, I guess you can call them, or 3 of their big 4. I don't know what you guys... I don't know who you consider the biggest on Golden State. But, I mean, as much as Cleveland tried to keep up with them, Golden State just, laid it on them. How many of their starting 5? 1, 2. 2 members of their starting 5 had at least 30 points. 4 had at least 10. Plus Iguodala, I guess you can call their sixth man off the bench, had 20 points. Cleveland, on the other hand, game 5, 41 from LeBron, a double-double with 13 rebounds, 8 assists, just missing the triple-double. Let's see. We had Kevin Love, 6 points. Thompson, 15 points. Irving with 26 points, 6 assists. J.R. Smith, 25 points, 3 rebounds, an assist with 2 blocks and two blocks, just 2 blocks, no steals. But yeah, pretty much. We may have Nick back. Let's see if we get Nick back. But anyways, pretty much, we might actually be repeating some of the stuff that we said before with the NHL and the NBA. Just because I want to get Nick's word on. Nick, are we back?
Yeah, we are back.
We're back. Okay. So, Nick, I was just rambling off on a couple of things to, save some time.
Boy.
So pretty much what I said about the Stanley Cup, to sum it up, I think it was more Game 6 that was the heartbreaker. I feel like Games 1 through 5, there were some thrashings, and the Preds were able to keep up, but in the end, I think it was just Game 6 that if they had waited a couple of more seconds, if the refs had waited a little bit longer, we'd have, a different story. We might have Game 7.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. But hockey being what it is, you can't really discount that.
Yeah, and then I briefly mentioned, the sad news for all Rangers fans: Dan Girardi is gone.
Yes, he is. And honestly, though, it's not really, for me at least, it's really not that sad because, yes, you recognize everything that Dan did for this franchise and, guided it out of the middling days into the competitive days. But I feel like there were too many bad goals. It was always a defensive lapse on his end.
I also feel maybe it could be because Dan Girardi has been beat up a bit. He has been dealing with quite a few injuries as of late.
Yes, yeah, injuries being what they are, you can't. I wouldn't really. Yeah, but like I said, hockey being what it is. I mean, this saves the Rangers how much money against the cap?
I was actually going over this before. Let me get back there. I was going over this before. There was a thing on
I apologize for the technical difficulties, folks.
Oh, no problem.
It's just like, come on.
Anyways, where was the thing? Oh, here it is. Okay. Rangers buying out Dan Girardi's contract. Okay. So he originally carried over a $5.5 million hit over the next 3 seasons. It'd be a $2.61 million hit. Right, a $2.61 million 2017-2018, $3.61 million in 2018-2019, and 2019-2020, and then the 3 seasons after that, $1.11 million. But now he'll be on the books for the next 6 years, because that's the next 6 years at a lower annual rate. He was going to carry over $5.5 million over the next 3 seasons, so
it'll still hit them, just won't hit them with as much severity.
Right. Also, as I said before, Girardi's 33? I think he still has a few years left to play. I think perhaps maybe, the Vegas Golden Knights might want to pick him up.
Yeah, and honestly, I wish him the best of luck. I don't wish him any kind of ill intent. He was a great Ranger. He carried himself with integrity, and he always showed up to play, and he always, he never played the blame game, which is exactly what people want out of a hockey player, a gamer.
Right. But, the Girardi was a part of this franchise for years. And he's played with Lundqvist and McDonough, the likes of Lundqvist and McDonough so much. I mean, you saw their, farewell messages to him.
And he must be heartbroken right now.
Right. I mean, I don't if Girardi is heartbroken, I don't blame him. We've had our issues with a certain Rangers owner. But all I said was, I looked at Girardi and Stahl's numbers. Girardi did have actually the better numbers, so I at least hope the Rangers know what they're doing because they're going to need some good defenseman to replace him.
Yeah, and they need to get younger and faster, and that is definitely something that they were, let's say, deficient in this past season, and they need to look. Getting younger and faster is the name of the game. If you do that, you can compete.
That is true, but I fear the Rangers' window of Stanley Cup opportunities is beginning to run, short.
Yeah, which means that they need to find a way to put it together but quick.
And they need also somebody to take over to inherit Girardi's A.
Yeah. Although they'll find somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure.
So Nick,
but without any further technical interruptions or without any further ado, we should also move on to the NBA Finals, which means that the Warriors won, folks.
I was asking before. Do you think we are able to eat only like half crow or 1/3 crow? Because
probably only about a lunch portion of crow, probably.
Okay, because when we originally, talked about when we previewed, we had a feeling it was going to go 6-7 games, maybe perhaps 7 games, but then game 1 happened.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we did. And on behalf of the Unspoken Podcast, I must say I'm sorry.
But then, like the next week, what did we say the next week? That the Warriors were going to win game 4, and if they didn't, they were going to win game 5. They won game 5. And furthermore, at the beginning, at the preview, we said Kevin Durant was probably going to be the X factor.
And he was. Not only was he the X factor, but he was the MVP.
Right.
Because of scoring 39 points, I think in the clincher game 5.
He did. Steph Curry had like 30. The only one from Cleveland who actually, I think, outscored everybody on the Warriors was LeBron.
Yeah, and you expect that man to go into superhuman mode in every single playoff game that man's pretty much played in his entire professional career. The problem is one man does not a team make. I mean, a lot of words have been wasted on the fact that, he's only one man. But I put it to you, and I put it to you as an open-ended question.
Okay.
Does this tarnish his legacy?
I don't think so. I mean, everybody's talking now about how, everyone's talking still the LeBron MJ comparisons, saying, that this has pretty much ended it, that MJ is the better, athlete. And then you got the LeBron supporters who are saying, but now this means LeBron has been to more NBA finals than Jordan ever was.
And he may break the scoring record, I think.
He might break the scoring record too, that's right. So, I mean, I don't think this is going to tarnish his legacy. He still is a multiple-time, MVP of the NBA. He's a multiple-time finals MVP, I think.
And honestly, I think it's just a pissing contest at this point. I do. Because Jordan, as all-time great as Jordan was, he came from a different era of the NBA. He really did. Where it was him and who else was on his level?
I don't really know. I mean, I can think of certain people, who may have been on his level, but not exactly on his level. I can consider some people legends in that era. I mean, in that era, I'm trying to think, what's his name? Patrick Ewing was a legend. Scottie Pippen was a legend. Charles Barkley was a legend, but I don't know if they were at the same at the same level as Jordan in that era.
Nor did they have the same kind of game that he did. And
also, It's kind of funny because I actually read a Facebook comment that it's like no one born after 93 should be comparing LeBron and MJ. So if that was the case, Nick, you're the only one in this podcast who can actually compare the two.
Well, the point where I really started to pay attention was when his second stint with the Bulls, and I really, honestly, I don't really remember much about, because I wasn't really, paying attention to basketball when Jordan was in his heyday. It's actually one of my biggest regrets that greatness was staring me in the face and I looked the other way. But I would have to say, also, are you calling me old?
No,
not to get off on a tangent, but you're calling me old here, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm saying, well, there's only one person born before 93 in the podcast.
I get that. But the issue here, especially in the league today, teams are scoring a lot more than they ever have. I mean, you look at the 5 games that were played in the finals, I think they regularly reached past 100-something points, right?
Let me look it up. Let me add the two, actually. Well, Golden State passed 100 in the first one. They won 113-91. That's already 200 points combined right there. 132 to 113 in game 2. So that's another about, 100? So that's 245. 118 to 113. So that's already about 230. 137, 116. So that's about another 255. 120, 129. So that's 149 points. So Jesus Christ, do the math. That's 249 points. So Jesus Christ, do the math.
Exactly. You do. And these teams, especially the ones that make it to the finals these days, are not defensive minded like say the Pistons. Or
I don't know if I'm watching, Nick. I don't know if I'm watching an NBA Finals or an All-Star game.
Yeah, that is precisely my point. These teams, the teams that make it to the finals nowadays, are precisely calculated to score at will, precisely calculated down to the last atom.
What pisses me off, Nick, is, and then, because I think LeBron turned back into a half villain, because now he goes, oh, I never played on a super team. Bullshit.
Yeah, that stinks of slight bullshit. It does. Because what are you going to call the big three?
Right, exactly. What was your little quote, LeBron? Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5.
No, actually, just 2.
Okay, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5.
Just 2.
Wait, he went off. He was going off about like the finals they were gonna win or something like that.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, now I see what you meant. Okay, yeah.
I was just kidding. Yeah, just 2.
Just 2. 2 for 4. And it wasn't even the first year, too. You lost to the Mavericks your first year.
So, which leads us to this burning question. The Cavs are straining under the salary cap to keep this team together. So, it's obvious that they need a change of personnel. Somebody else on that team that can score at will and is not as streaky as, say, J.R. Smith or Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love.
They're going to find a way. It's LeBron. LeBron's going to take control of the team. Let's face it.
I think the answer lies in Carmelo Anthony.
You think Carmelo's going to the Cavs?
He would go there in a heartbeat. I honestly do.
I actually can see that. And that'll leave.
Were you him? Would you really want to be playing for the circus?
Oh, did you say circus?
Oh, shit.
I was going to say, and Kristaps Porzingis will be leading New York, but I don't know. But that's if he even stays in New York. Nick, did you say circus?
Yes, I did.
You said circus? Oh, okay. Now it's time for me to play it. So to any newbies of the Unspoken Podcast, this is what happens every time the Knicks are mentioned. The Unspoken Podcast now goes to the New York Knicks circus.
Oh, you know what? It's not even about the circus. It's about somebody trying to get away from the circus. Can you at least grant me that?
Fair enough. But you know what? The circus is in town. Kristaps Porzingis may be leaving. Carmelo might leave. Everybody is going to leave. And you know what? You know what's really funny? We're talking super teams. The New York Knicks have proven. It's like funny. There's like two ends to the super teams argument. There's one that says, Warriors and Cavs are the prime example of non-competitiveness in the league and super teams in the league. And then you have the New York Knicks, which shows just because you have the star power doesn't mean you're going to be any good.
They're the anti-Avengers, really.
They are the anti-Avengers. I still have the music going.
It's still worth it. It is absolutely worth it.
So, I don't know. I feel like something's got to happen with just the NBA as a whole because I'm honestly starting to get a little sick of the super team shit.
Super teams mean money, and money talks, bullshit rides the bus.
At this point, that kills me, though. That kills me because it's like, if I don't want to have the next 5 NBA finals be Cavs and Golden State Warriors.
I know what you're saying, but what is it that we can do? I mean,
nothing. I mean, you know what people can do? Just not watch.
And fat chance of that ever happening.
Right. I mean,
that's the exact thing with the NFL. There will always be a built-in audience. There are people that are not going to care about the super team stuff. Just the same thing with the concussion issues in the NFL. There are people that are going to watch the league no matter what.
Right. And I'm guilty of that. I'm one of them.
Yes, I am definitely guilty of that. Guilty as charged, as a matter of fact.
Absolutely. But still,
yeah.
Still, Nick, game 1, I was watching the freaking spelling bee for a little bit just because I didn't want to watch, the finals until a certain show came on.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. But we're casual basketball fans. For hardcore basketball fans, this is like a symphony. It is.
It's one of a few things for hardcore basketball fans. It's either you're a fan of the Warriors or the Cavs, in which case you're probably a bandwagoner. I'm sorry. And you're rooting for one team and you hate the other. Number 2, you love both teams somehow as more of a casual hardcore kind of guy. And
you follow the stars, basically.
Right, and you'll watch because, oh my God, this is incredible. Or you can be like me and Nick and hate both of them and hate both teams, and it's like, oh God, this again.
Oh, I do not. I should add a caveat. I do not hate the Cavaliers. In fact, I honestly do. And as much as LeBron's been a villain sometimes and put his foot in his mouth, I will watch him play because, again, this is another Jordan situation where greatness is staring me in the face, and I must not look away.
I mean, fair enough. Maybe in a regular season I'll, tune in and see something, but it's just like the Golden State Warriors, Cleveland Cavs kind of thing. It's like I'd rather watch something different, just because that's been a magic of like the NHL. Maybe not so much in the last few years, but the teams had always changed, and that was one of the things that first got me into hockey. Was like, oh wow, it's always different teams in the finals. It's so unpredictable.
You may see the ratings go down if we have 2 different teams next year, though.
That is true. But I'm hoping for Nashville to get back.
Yeah, I mean, with the Stanley Cup and with the NBA Finals, I mean, it's about getting eyeballs on TV sets and tablets, like I've always been saying. And I just hope that interest in the league is strong enough where you'll watch no matter who's playing in it.
Fair enough. You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, a cheap seat sports production, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. Nick, let's talk Yankees.
Oh, God, we got to go to the triage unit now. Oh, God.
I mean, the Yankees, things are not looking too bad. I mean, they're still riding, let me see their record now. As of today, they are riding a 38-26 record, 2 games ahead of the Boston Red Sox, but injuries have hit them hard recently.
Yes, CC Sabathia is on the 10-day disabled list with a grade 2 hamstring strain. Aaron Hicks was sidelined with an Achilles issue, which he felt when he was batting last night. Gary Sanchez, stealing a base of all things, felt his hamstrings get tight, and they had to take him out of the game last night. And by the by, even though they were down 3-0 to Sonny Gray, they still came back 5 times, and guess what? They still lost in extras.
Thanks, Starlin Castro.
These are the games you don't. I understand. I perfectly understand that a baseball season is a gauntlet. It is a marathon, not a sprint. However, these are games you do not want to lose.
These are going to be the games that matter, where it's like if you're one game out of missing and you missed the playoffs, it's like if only.
Yes, you must keep your foot on the gas, especially against middling outright bad teams like the A's and the Angels.
Yeah, I mean, I just. Why is it that we struggle against the AL West? Nick?
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Okay. I was like, just why are we struggling against the AL West? I really just. Why do we struggle against the Angels and struggle against, the A's? It's just, it baffles me.
Well, the Angels are one of my irrational hatred teams from last episode, so, hey, continuity.
Hey, yeah. But yeah, so I don't know, man. I mean, the Yankees, they're in good shape so far, but this whole week actually could come back to haunt them. This West Coast road trip might be not what they need.
Not what they need, but then again, I think this team, once they get everything back together, I think they'll find a way.
Right. Well, hopefully
they built enough of a lead. I mean, it's still 2 games.
Yeah.
But I think this team is not they're not holding on to first place out of sheer fluke or luck.
Oh, right. No, I mean,
something that they've absolutely earned on the strength of a terrifying offense and a pretty solid starting rotation.
Right. I mean, we've talked about it, and all of baseball's talked about it. Where did this Yankees team come from? We were all thinking maybe it would be next year, that like this year would be a struggling year for the rookies to get their feet wet, and then next year would be the big year. But this year has proven to be quite an exciting year.
Yes, they've already given me more than I expected from them, and to be honest, not to say that I don't expect more, but I understand that I should not be complaining as loud as I do.
Right. Well, hopefully some things will change. For example, Chapman is positioned for a return on Sunday, so hopefully he will come back.
However, Greg Bird did suffer a setback in his rehab.
Yeah, which sucks because I'm ready for Chris Carter. As much as Chris Carter, it's weird. Chris Carter is like love sometimes and then hate others. Like Chris Carter was a little hot when we last talked last week and then cooling down, But now after, what happened with CC, because one of my friends was like, oh, thanks, Chris Carter, for, fucking up CC for my fantasy team.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been out there if Carter had made that catch.
Yeah, and then Chris Carter, as much as sometimes he'll hit like a clutch home run, for every clutch thing Carter does, he does something stupid in return. That's the best way to.
Yeah, he's the Aaron Hicks of last year.
Which sucks because I wanted Bird back because I'm ready to, send Chris Carter packing. Please get out of here. Chase Headley, please leave.
Wow, you really have a short leash.
No, but Headley has had his struggles this year. And, I mean, it sucks that the AAA manager says, Glover Torres isn't MLB ready. Because, what's funny? Cashman's saying, yes, he is.
Well, I would take the guy who sees him every day as more. I would take his opinion on bigger faith than I would the GM.
That is fair. That's something I, didn't think, that was irrational of me. But point is, I think when trade deadline comes, Yanks got to make moves to make sure they stay in first place. I think Headley's got to go. I think Carter's got to go.
Another bat off the bench will definitely help you.
Another arm won't hurt.
Yeah, shoring up some bullpen help, and that is the absolute minimum that you can do.
As I've argued on past episodes, from conversation with my dad and stuff, and realizing how good trade partners the Yankees and Pirates are, I think they should go after Garrett Cole.
I don't think we should hit the panic button yet. And
No.
that would be the panic button.
No.
But
Really? You think that'd be the panic button?
I honestly, if CC doesn't come back completely healthy, and if Masahiro Tanaka, wastes the goodwill that he got from.
To be honest, I've given up on Tanaka already. I'm done.
Already?
I've given up. The Yankees gave up on him. They didn't let him pitch on one day. Remember that on Sunday.
Well, pitchers are fickle beasts. Sometimes you never know what will work.
Let's see how did they even do on Monday? Well, the Yankees won 5-3, but it wasn't Tanaka who got the win. It was Tyler Clippard to people.
It was Clip who got the win, but still giving up only 3 runs after how he's gotten shelled. I will take the blessings where I may find them.
I mean, that's fair enough. It is a quality start from Masahiro Tanaka, but one game isn't going to do justice for me after his start. He needs to go on a streak.
Yeah,
now.
I agree. You need to see him go on a tear.
Other than that, he hasn't proved his worth for me because it's like I'm just, trying to think ahead of time. If he doesn't improve and the Yankees get into a hot race, to be honest, like when September comes, when it's 40-man time and playoffs come, he might not be,
on the roster at all. Exactly.
Like, well, when 40-man happens, he might have to, we might have to go 6-7-man rotation because in clutch games, why should he have the ball when he hasn't proved it?
Well, God knows what Girardi might be thinking. Well, let's not put the cart before the horse. They got to make the playoffs first. I mean, it's still early in the season. We haven't even officially started summer yet.
That is true. That is fair. But it's still, I guess maybe it isn't panic time, but I still think there needs to be levels of concern, of major concern on some levels too.
Yeah, there are certain things that you need to keep an ever vigilant eye on, and you cannot, like I said, you cannot take your foot off the gas. When you know you can beat them on paper, beat them for real.
Right. And like I said, trade.
You know what? Think of it this way. At least we ain't the Mets.
That's true. That's very true. Sorry, Mets fans, with Harvey and everything else that you're going through. But
I didn't catch it because I didn't catch the game last night because I had other work to do. But tell me, if you can give me what the fuck happened last night in terms of their injuries.
I mean, so I'm sorry, Mets fans. It sucks to be you. Okay, let me bring up let's see. So Harvey officially ended on the DL. What was his thing? Oh, there's a stress injury in his right shoulder. That's right. I remember writing about that on the Facebook page. Who else do we have? Juan Lagares, DL'd.
Because he broke his thumb, I think.
Yeah, he tried diving for a catch. Neil Walker's out to the All-Star break. Let's see. Josh Smoker dealing with loose bodies and elbow. Yoenis Cespedes just got back.
So really, what Terry Collins should be doing?
Oh, Syndergaard's still 4 weeks away from even throwing a baseball.
Yeah. So what Terry Collins really should be doing is taking a mic in every home game and saying, anybody in the audience can throw a baseball? Anybody at all?
Maybe they gotta just start doing what the Yankees are doing and focus on, getting some young talents, farm system young talent.
Do you really expect the Wilpons to do that?
No, I'm saying what they should do, not that they will do.
Exactly.
But anyways, Yankees, like I say, I think they're doing fine, but maybe trade deadline things, moves won't hurt. Get Headley out of there, get Carter out of there. It's weird with the Garner thing because it's like I think he might go. You think, if his hot bat, he might stay. But with his hot bat, if a team's desperate enough for the right price.
For the right price, yeah. I mean, if somebody comes and blows you away for Brett Gardner, I would take it. But it depends on the person.
Absolutely. Or it could be also a contract thing with money and stuff.
Yeah, and God knows what the trade market's going to look like.
It could be an insane trade deadline. You never know. Because
the Giants have some really good pieces, and they are really, really bad this year.
I think they have been the most surprising team. Like, we had high expectations from them, and they just have been not living up to it.
They are cellar dwellers in the NL West, aren't they?
Yes, they are. The major teams this year so far in the MLB are the Yankees, the Astros, the Rockies, and the Diamondbacks, and the Nationals.
Who the hell would have thought the Rockies?
We were thinking it was going to be the two wildcard teams were going to be the two teams from the East. We were thinking it was going to be Nationals, Mets, Braves. But instead, it just looks like as of right now, it'll just be the Nationals, and it would be from the West, the Dodgers, the Rockies, and the Diamondbacks. The Rockies and the Diamondbacks. I mean, that's cool.
It is. It's like it's 2007 all over again.
I mean, if the Nationals, if my NL team, which is the Nationals, can't get to the World Series, I hope it's the Rockies again.
The Nationals is just your team because you like seeing Daniel Murphy hit the shit out of the Mets.
Bryce Harper, too.
Yeah, Bryce Harper, too, but you got to admit, I really do think that Daniel Murphy has a small bit of satisfaction saying, yes, you guys gave up on me, and now I'm going to fucking make you pay for it.
Oh, I'm sure Mets fans are hella pissed at that.
Oh, in fact, I know a few who are hella pissed at that.
Good. You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, a Cheap Seat Sports production, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. I dread the day that I forget to say a Cheap Seat Sports production anymore.
Post-its, my friend. Post-its are your friend.
Or the Undetermined Podcast Network.
Yeah, we've forgotten that a couple times, but we'll get it.
Nick, last thing. For a few minutes, let's just talk about some of our best and worst, experiences at sporting events.
Okay, who goes first? Because
it was your idea. You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'll start off. Probably the best experience I've had. Well, really, the only stadium that I've gone to is Yankee Stadium. I mean, and I've had great experiences there. I've had bad experiences there, and great experiences usually involve every time they win, really, and every time I've showed up and they've played the Twins, they've beaten them. And I remember my best experience would probably be sitting in Celebrity Row in the old Yankee Stadium.
Really? Who was there?
Not really in Celebrity Row, just behind the dugout, just behind the home on deck circle.
All right, but were there any big, celebrities that you saw there?
No, I use kind of Celebrity Row as a catch-all term. It's like,
okay.
As in, only celebrities are rich enough to actually afford those tickets.
True, that's fair enough.
But my father got them. My father got those tickets out of a mutual acquaintance, I think. And
okay.
I was so close to the players, I could tell that Robbie Cano needed a shave.
That's awesome. Have you ever been to the new stadium?
Yeah, I've been there. I think 3 times since they opened.
Nice. Actually, a week from tomorrow, I will be making my first ever trip to the new stadium.
All right. Yeah.
Saturday the 24th against the Rangers. That's gonna be cool.
All right. Where you sitting?
I'm sitting somewhere along the third baseline, so that's gonna be a pretty cool experience.
It is, and you know what? When you get close to, when they are that close to you, when you can see, when Derek Jeter comes up to the on deck circle and starts talking to the fans, to all of us, and I was lifted off the ground. I really was.
I'm jealous. That's cool.
It was close. It was as close to a religious experience as I have ever seen.
I'm sure it was.
Johnny Damon gave his batting gloves to a little kid.
You gotta love it when baseball players do that kind of stuff. Derek Jeter actually relates to another good experience. I went to two games in Baltimore. It was Yankees and Orioles at the start of the 2012 season. One game they played went 12 innings. The next game was 10 innings. I think it was games 5 and 6 of the regular season. And the first game, Derek Jeter, I'm not sure it was the very first pitch, but it was at least the first swing of the at-bat. Or it was the very first at-bat of the game, and Derek Jeter hits a solo home run. So that was actually cool to see Jeter hit a home run before his retirement.
Yeah, and that was... There was something magical about, because he came up to the on deck circle, and we were all chanting his name, and he turns around and says, "What?" He was messing with us. He was smiling. And it's like, oh my God, I want to be you. I want to be your roommate, please. Anything you do, you ask me to kill you. Anything you want me to do, you ask me to kill somebody, I'm killing them.
Oh my God. I mean, it is
not that crazy.
It is, Peter. I remember a good experience was going to Nationals Cubs game in 2014. That was pretty cool just to see what it was like at Nationals Park and seeing Bryce Harper live. Phillies.
Does he glow?
What happened?
Does he glow?
No, I wish. Nationals Mets game. I mean, not Nationals Mets. Phillies Mets game. I went to also in 2014. I went to the Phillies Park. It was really cool because it was like bottom of the eighth, and I think this was Carlos Ruiz who hit the game-tying home run in the bottom of the eighth. And the stadium, while it's not the most filled stadium, they got loud when that happened.
You love it when crowds get loud. I love it because it feels like a living thing. It does.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about the Seattle Seahawks stadium. The crowd, it almost causes an earthquake.
Yeah, I mean, as much as you want to say about the Seahawks, I mean, you can't deny that fan base is loud.
Absolutely. Also a good experience going to my first Rangers game in 2008 and hearing the goal song for the first time live. That was fun. 2007, the last time I visited a New York Yankees game with the Yankees at home. It was the old stadium. Seeing it was like in September, right before school started, seeing Mariano Rivera entrance and hearing Enter Sandman live, him getting the last 4 outs. And I had never seen a Yankees win live, so that was the first time I saw a Yankees win live, so that was awesome.
And when you first step out from the concourse into the stadium itself, it almost takes your breath away.
When those first guitar strums start for Enter Sandman, I could never hear, a more loud crowd probably than I ever did.
And it was like that when I was sitting in Celebrity Row. I mean, you could have gone deaf. You really could have.
And even though they didn't win this game, I remember it was August 2006. It was White Sox Yankees. It was both a worst moment and a good moment because it was bad because in the top of one inning, the White Sox scored 8 runs. only for the Yankees to follow that in the bottom of the inning where the Yankees scored 8 runs.
Wow, I don't even remember that.
Let me try to look that up. White Sox Yankees. It was August 2006. I think it said MLB records, at least for the time.
You're gonna have to look that up, but still, that actually leads to bad experiences I had at Yankee Stadium, and my worst actually was not even at the game. It was after the game.
Oh, do tell.
So walking, I may have told you this in class, but heading back, well, I think the Yankees had won, so I was, I don't know, like 7, 8 years old, and it was still it was the old stadium, right?
Right. Oh, it was in 2006, by the way. That White Sox Yankees game was 2007. It was the second inning. Both teams had 8 runs, and I think it set MLB records, at least at the time, for like. Oh, here it is. Yanks White Sox combined for. Actually, let me look it up. That's an ESPN article. Yankees White Sox combined for 16 runs. Well, this is giving me just Yankees Orioles and Yankees White Sox. Okay, but yeah, both teams had 8 runs. It was a long inning. It was like one of the longest innings in MLB history.
God, I wish I could say I remember, but I really don't.
I gotta look more stuff up about that. That's gonna be a good trip down memory lane. Anyway, back to your story, Nick.
Like I was saying, it was after the game, so they'd won. So I'm feeling pretty good about myself. And for those of you who don't know, I am disabled, right? And this was I have cerebral palsy, and
oh, I know the story you're gonna tell. Now I know.
Yeah, getting around. Even in those days was difficult for me, as it is most days. It was before I used a wheelchair for distance, and so this drunken, I'm not going to mince words, asshole decides him and his fucking buddies, loud as hell, they decide to start a fucking conga line heading out to the stadium. And this one asshole in a sweater vest. See, never trust the guys in a fucking polo sweater vest. He decides to be the caboose of the conga line and starts swinging his ass around. And
did he have a fat ass?
He is so uncoordinated. He knocks me down not once, not twice, but 3 times. Heading out of the stadium, he knocks me off. He knocked me off my feet twice. He pushed me back, pushed me sideways the 3rd time, and I was getting so goddamn angry. It's like, watch where you're going.
Some fans are just ruining the experience. It doesn't even matter if it's Yankees fans or not, or Mets fans or not. It's just ruining the experience. Speaking of Mets fans, one of my worst experiences actually was at Yankee Stadium that same 2007 year. It was a Subway Series game, Mets versus Yankees.
Oh, my.
So I was 12. Yeah, I was 12 at the time. I'm going into Yankee Stadium, and, it's more of a packed house than it is. A Yankees-Mets game is always packed. And basically it was like all this wild stuff, hearing Mets fans curse out Yankees fans, hearing a couple of Yankees fans curse out Mets fans in my section, beer, being spilled in beer, and a couple of people throwing beer at each other. Go to the bathroom with my dad and my brother, and, and there's this one Mets fan. I think he was probably drunk. He was a drunken asshole as well.
There's a good, 75 to 80% chance he was drunk. So
this, for those of you who are wondering why they stopped selling beer after the 7th inning, they're pretty much why.
Yeah. So tell me what happened.
Okay, so he breaks in and he's like, oh, I gotta piss. You Yankees fans, get the fuck out of here. stuff like that. And there's this older gentleman who, is trying to like calm him down, and he's like, "Oh, fuck you, fuck off, get the hell out." And he's like, "My son is here." And his son, I guess, he couldn't be no more than maybe 6 years old, maybe 7 at a maximum. I think he might have been 5. And this Mets fan is just cursing him out, and it's just, it breaks my heart when some fans can't learn to be respectful especially around children. Like,
yeah, I mean, they're kids here. God damn it, come on.
Here's what I say. This is just in general, because you see on the news with child killers or child predators and stuff. If you are an asshole to a child, you are probably one of the biggest pieces of shit in the world. I'm sorry.
Exactly. And I've seen, I don't understand. See, well, I do understand. Alcohol plus asshole equals trouble.
Right. Like I said, that's why they stopped selling beer after the 7th inning.
Yeah, I you know what? My heart goes out. He wasn't giving you shit, was he?
Fortunately, no. It was more general shit. And then when the man came, expressed, can you please tone it down? Then it was a little more at him. Thankfully, we got out of the stadium fine. Other than that, I think other terrible experience, maybe watching the Rangers choke in, like, what was it? In which season was it? 15-16. Yeah, I went to a game in not this past season, but the season before, in 15-16. I think it was in January of 16, and the Rangers had just come back against the Capitals. There was like seconds left, and of course with 6 seconds left, they gave up a goal. And then in overtime, first shift, they go to Capitals territory, can't get the puck in the net, and of course, Alex Ovechkin grabs the puck, skates down fast, and gets one past Lundqvist for the win.
Oh my God! Oh, that sucks.
And it was after they came back in the third period from 2 goals down.
That probably was a heartbreaker.
That was, and it was the first time I had seen the first 2 games that I saw Rangers lost. Is the third they lost in a shootout, then they won, and then the next 5 straight. It was 5 straight games that I saw, because I went go to at least 1 game per season. There was one season where I went to 2, and last season I didn't go to any. But then, there was 5 straight games that they won, and then the most recent game, which was that game, they lost in overtime after choking. It broke my heart.
I can imagine. But you know what? That is the experience of watching sports. Is why you do. You take the good and you take it with the bad, unfortunately.
Absolutely. And that's going to do it for this edition of the Unspoken Podcast. Go like our Facebook and Twitter pages at the UDUP. And now go like my Facebook and Twitter pages for Cheap Seat Sports. That would be at CS Sports Site on both Facebook and Twitter. And check out cheapseatsportsite.wordpress.com.
And we will be writing for it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I already have a few posts up, and hopefully there will be more coming, especially from people not just me, so including Nick. So basically, have a look at the site, and hopefully you stay tuned and stick around with our new production, Cheap Seat Sports production. We're still going to be with the Unspoken Podcast Network. Don't get us wrong.
Go ahead.
No, I said we're going to still be a part of the Unspoken Podcast Network. Don't get us wrong.
No, we will. Yeah, we will.
And that is going to do it for this edition of the Unspoken Podcast. For Nick Federa, I'm Tom Albano. Thank you for tuning in. You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, part of the Unspoken Podcast Network, a Cheap Seat Sports production.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.